Right, welcome to Depth by Design, Lisa. You and we met 2 years ago at the start of our master's program in Amsterdam. Lisa is a brilliant young woman who grew up in the Netherlands. Did you grow up in the south of the Netherlands?
Yes.
I knew it. And she recently did some research concerning endometriosis. And I am so happy to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, of course. And the focus of today's episode is twofold. We want to talk about the research you did on endometriosis. And I also want to build upon what I've talked about in previous episodes about how health and fitness is incorporated or maybe not incorporated into Dutch culture from maybe your perspective. And so maybe for the listeners, I would like some feedback from you guys. Are the podcasts lacking focus? Are they confusing to follow? How can I improve them? If you have any suggestions, please leave a comment because I'm very open in the very beginning stages of trying all this out. Okay, so is there anything else you'd like to mention and introduce about yourself before we begin, or should we just jump right into it?
Yeah, I can say something.
If you want, you don't have to. We can just jump right into it.
That's also fine.
All right, so you recently did some research called Finding Endometriosis Using Machine Learning. Let's start with, can you tell me a little bit about like what is endometriosis?
Yes, I saw this question coming. So it's a condition where tissue similar to the lining of the uterus is located outside of the uterus. Of course, I'm not like an expert, but what I do know is that there's not much known about the causes of it. There are several theories, but no like exclusive one that has been found as the cause, or maybe there are multiple, you don't know. And so far it's also not treatable. You can surgically remove some parts, which could help reducing pain, but there's no like ultimate fix for it yet, hopefully.
And this is a issue that's specific to women's health.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, it affects about 1 in 10 women, so it's quite a lot.
Yeah.
And still not much is known. In the last couple of years, I think we've seen an increase in research focusing on this. But yeah, it's quite recent.
Why is it so recent? Like, has it always, I mean, this is just your perspective. I know you're not an expert, but do you think like it's always been around and now there's just more attention on it? Do you think there needs to be even more attention on this issue? Or
yeah, well, the condition itself has been around. For instance, I know my grandmother probably had it too. So this is something that it has been going on, of course. I think there's more and more attention to women's health in general. Especially in medical research, it used to be mostly focused on men, but like in the past couple of years, we're focusing more on women's health, also the differences between men and women in certain diseases. For instance, I know cardiology is focusing much more on how it differently affects women than men. So I feel like there's a shift going on in that field.
Okay, what do you know about the cardiology? This is new to me. Like,
I don't know that much,
but that there's more of a interest.
For instance, heart attacks. Often there are kind of signs leading up to it, but they present very differently from women than men. So often they don't go recognized.
Yeah, I think that's really important. It feels like such a strong like feminist take, which I love. Like, yes, men and women are similar, but
not the same.
Yeah. And I think, there's just such a big history with women being neglected, whether that be in like healthcare. And and of course, you know, the history of like hysteria and then kind of being invalidated. I really like, it's nice to hear that there's a movement towards like really focusing on women's health and what they're experiencing, and how that might be different from men, because I think that can only help us like reach, I'm kind of on a soapbox right now, I'm not an expert, but like reach kind of, you know, equality of care in the sense.
Equality or equity?
Oh, tell me a little bit more about that. What's the difference for you? Equity versus equality?
Yeah, I think equality would be treating everyone as the same, and equity is focusing more and recognizing, acknowledging the differences too, and then treating according to that.
I'm so glad
Yeah,
you said that, because that is 100% more what I mean, and not equality. And I think it's so important to be like important with your words, and to say what you actually mean. And I just think that's so important. So thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, and something else, I think at least in the Netherlands, they contribute a lot to sort of the shift happening right now, is a foundation called Voices for Women. And last year they held the first sort of Women's Health Day, and they organized this whole kind of conference or activity day in Utrecht. They're doing it again this year. It was a big success. A lot of women showed up. And they are also advocating for more recognition of women's health and differences between men and women in healthcare. And for instance, also how a lot of symptoms in women go unrecognized. And I feel like, at least in the Netherlands, they're a big player in shifting the gears.
I feel like, and this is a generalized statement, I know, but I feel like women are really good at like just suffering quietly.
Yeah.
We're just really good at kind of just picking things up and carrying on and be like, oh, I guess that just must be how it is. I'm, you know, suffering. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say that's just a women thing, but I don't know, because at least for me, like anecdotally, sometimes I am like, oh, I don't want to be perceived as like a crazy emotional woman. So you might be willing to hide a bit more, suffer a bit more quietly, you know, just to I don't know, hide that, or fear of being perceived as that, you know. And there's just more of a narrow way of being when you're a woman versus a man, I feel like.
A narrow
way of being. Like there's just a thin point of exist, like there's more opportunities, I feel like, for men on a lot of sides to like women, like if you're going to be strong and assertive, that can easily tip into, oh, she's a bitch or she's bossy. Well, I feel like there's more room for a man before it starts to, oh, he's a jerk.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I don't know, I'm kind of just talking, but I feel like we're getting off track a little bit. So we'll bring it back to your research on endometriosis. Now, there also mentions machine learning in that. So how is machine learning useful for endometriosis, and maybe how is machine learning could be beneficial in the bigger picture of women's health overall?
Yeah, so minor detail, my research was not focused on the machine learning part, but it was more on like a digital health strategy about endometriosis. But for the machine learning part, I can say that it can be very beneficial with regards to finding out, for instance, if genetics play a role, what kind of things from like your environment influence it. If your diet might help reducing some effects that you have. For instance, what they created this app, the Lucy app, and you can log all your period symptoms in there, and then based on your symptoms, it would tell you to visit your doctor or not visit your doctor. And with those details and also questionnaires that were built into the app, they can make algorithms or like machine learning predictions that can give us more information about what is going on with this disease or condition, because not much is known, and this kind of data on very large scales can help us find out what is going on and how to improve.
Okay, so then what was your research specifically focused on? Was it a more qualitative component?
Yeah, it was a mixed methods study. So it was about like a social media campaign. It was called hashtag 1 in 10, because 1 in 10 women have endometriosis. And it was aimed at raising more awareness. And then from more like I don't know how to say this, but we tried to see what the value was for both the women participating in this campaign, because it was women that were diagnosed with endometriosis, but also for the patient association that launched this campaign. So I did interviews with the patient association and some of the women that participated in the campaign itself, and then wanted to see what kind of value for both of them emerged from this project.
And how was your experience with the interviews? Like, did you feel like you were able to connect with people super well? Were they able to connect to like the idea of the project as well? Like, were they aware of like the machine learning components?
I didn't ask, so I'm not 100% sure, but they were aware of the project itself, because it's, I think, one of the first European Union projects that got such a high grant for this.
Oh, wow.
And they have a high following on other platforms too, like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So yeah, they were definitely aware. And the female project also collaborated with other patient associations. So this one was in Sweden, but they also collaborated with one in Denmark, and also other places. So that was very interesting. And yeah, so they were aware of like the bigger aim, I would say.
Yeah.
But we did hold the interviews online, because I was then located in Denmark and those women were in Sweden. So we did it online. So in terms of connection, I feel like always in-person interviews are a bit better, but it was still very interesting to hear their story, and they were very open. So yeah, it was a good experience.
And what do you think was like the main takeaway from this work that you did for you?
I think it helped me find more of my personal goals in life, because I do feel like with women's health there's so much more to achieve. So I want to just, I don't know, contribute a bit towards that.
Yeah.
So that's also why I now joined that foundation, Voices for Women, where I'm writing articles. And recently I did a interview with a scholar on her research about men and women differences in general practitioner care.
Okay. In the Netherlands, in the context of the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, just trying to rephrase everything in like normal language, and then try to communicate that to the bigger audience.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was also very interesting. So just trying to contribute also through like volunteer work, and I don't know, it's just, I think the main message is there's much more we should do and what we can do. Yeah, and it starts with recognition and awareness, and then I think the next stage is implementing.
Yeah, so yeah, you're saying that there's a lot more we can do for women's health. What's your vision? Like, in an ideal world, where should women's health go? Like, where should it end up? I mean, you mentioned this equity versus equality, so maybe a little bit more of that. I don't know if you have like concrete ideas, or
I feel like there should be more knowledge about how diseases present differently, because we're not just like small men, you know.
Yeah, no, that's really important, because Yeah, it's, I didn't want to interrupt. Keep
Yeah.
going. But I love that you said that.
Yeah, so I think first have more research dedicated to this, which starts with funding. And then I think creating societal awareness, so it doesn't just stay in the academic bubble, but it also, yeah, just moves into the real world. And ideally, of course, everyone gets good healthcare. But yeah, healthcare is having a lot of issues right now. So maybe that's too idealist. Because it also,
No.
of course, it's not only like women are being, are having issues with the healthcare system right now. It also affects men.
Yeah.
Everyone. So
do you think there's some like a room for a project that somehow incorporates, I don't know, male perspectives in, or is that against the agenda, like male perspectives in a woman's health? Or maybe it would be more like, I don't know, male GPs and like their experiences and like connecting them with female patients, like a study like that, where it's like it's somehow incorporated like that. I don't know. Do you see any room for that, or is it makes more sense to just really go full force on learning more about, I don't know, these specific experiences of women at the moment? Does that make sense?
What do you mean with the male GPs?
Like, I don't know, incorporating, I don't know, like what they're currently doing, or I mean, I guess other, female, like, are there studies out there where, I don't know, are female GPs connecting more with female patients? Are there male GPs that are connecting less with female patients? And what about the ones, are there male GPs that are connecting a lot with female patients? What are they doing? And things like that. I don't know.
I'm not sure about the connecting part, but what I've learned through the interview I did for Voices for Women was that they looked at like communication style differences with men and women and the effect also on doctors. And how that sort of happened. And they didn't find a big difference in communication style, men versus women. So often people seem to think that men are a bit more like straightforward in what they want and they use less of the uncertain words. But apparently that's not necessarily the case, at least not in the sample that they used. But of course, you don't know if doctors might have a bias. I mean, everyone has their own lived experiences, so there's almost no escaping. So yeah, definitely more research can be done. And I didn't do this research, so I'm not 100% sure, but it's worth it to look into it.
That's super interesting. Thank you for sharing that. And now I kind of want to, we're kind of already kind of talking about the Dutch culture a little bit in like the GP context. I'll shift gears a little bit, but it was a good segue. What are your thoughts about how health and fitness is incorporated into Dutch culture? Like, do you think it is incorporated really well? Do you think it's not? Like, what did you grow up learning about? Did you grow up learning about health in like schools and stuff? Like, what is that experience like here in the Netherlands?
Yes. Okay. So I'm already thinking about two main things.
Okay.
So in terms of moving, I think just daily movement is quite incorporated into the Dutch culture. So a lot of people cycle, they walk. It's not as much of a car culture as the US, if I may compare.
Yes, you may. You may.
Yes. So I think that's kind of a difference. And when I was young, I think at one point I did three different sports at the same time. Like my parents really tried to motivate working out and like trying different sports and seeing what you liked. So, and I was not the only kid in my class. Everyone did multiple things. So that was very kind of ingrained. But then in terms of like food and diet, for instance, I think improvements can be made, because I feel like I only really learned more about what a healthy diet entails when I started living with two nutrition students, my roommates. And they just taught me so much more about, I don't know, fibers, it seems very straightforward and like logical that you
Yeah.
should have them every meal, but I never really thought about it. And I thought I was eating fine until I started living with them. I was like, maybe this could be better.
Yeah, you started like thinking like, am I getting enough fiber and things like
or
that?
vegetables.
Or vegetables.
I need them.
Yeah. And like growing up, like what the education system, are they teaching like little boys and young girls kind of like the same? Because in the US, it's pretty much you all get like the same kind of information about diet.
Yeah.
But honestly, looking back, I'm like, yeah, it could have been way better. Like, it just wasn't. Like, I feel like everything I know has really just been from lived experiences and doing my own research versus like that course in high school really taught me a lot. That's my feeling. I don't know if do you have a similar feeling or a different feeling about, I don't know, maybe what the education system and Dutch culture, how they're explaining this stuff well or not well? I don't know.
Well, to be fair, it's been a while, but I don't really recall that much from it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe that already says enough. But I do remember that one time we needed to track our diet and see if we were like healthy enough in high school. But yeah, it was always like kind of like maybe we talked about it for 1 or 2 weeks and that's it, and then it's just left behind. Even though I feel like it should be more incorporated maybe throughout the curriculum and not just, oh, we do one class and then you know it, you know.
That.
And it was kind of the same maybe also with sexual health. Very men focused, and
abstinence is key. At least that's how it was. That was what they taught us, more or less.
Yeah, I feel like maybe they taught us more about condoms and stuff and the pill, but yeah, looking back on it, it could have been more elaborate.
I will say, I do think one thing that my health classes in middle school did well is they had us 1 week or whatever, we watched a movie. It's called Super Size Me. Have you heard of it?
It rings a bell, but I'm not
So
sure.
it's about this guy in the early 2000s, and this is when McDonald's still had a Super Size Me option, where you would go through the drive-through, you know, you would order your meal, and at the end they would be like, would you like to supersize that? Which is like a mega large portion. Like, it just makes everything bigger, basically. They give you the largest size possible. And this guy made a documentary where he just ate McDonald's for a month and would like supersize things and tracked like what happened to his body. And I will say, shout out to you, Mr. Coffin. That really stuck with me because, you know, you watch this guy and his like body changes and he's like getting sick from like eating all this food, and you really see kind of the journey. And actually McDonald's got rid of the supersize option because of this documentary, because they were like, this is excessive, we don't need it. So I do want to highlight one good thing specific to my experience, but I think things like that really stick with you, like a documentary versus like someone droning on about apple a day keeps doctor away. You know, so that was just a little anecdote. And what's so interesting, what do you think about the bikes? The bike so funny because I also had another Dutch individual on, and whenever we're talking about fitness, the bikes never come up, which is so funny because to everyone else outside of the Netherlands, like, you guys are the bike culture. Yes. That's like, you know, and it's, do you think that is also, and maybe this is a leading question, like part of why you guys are like very healthy? Or, I mean, I guess you said already that incorporation of movement. I don't know. What's your experience with like the bike culture, growing up with it? And do you think, do you remember appreciating it growing up, or is it just a normal thing?
Well, this reminds me of how I started learning to bike. So
Oh, tell me.
I was quite young. I'm not really sure. I think like maybe 2 or 3, maybe 3. Can you bike when you're 2? I'm not sure. It's been a long time.
Probably 3.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably 3 or 4, around that age.
Yeah.
And my grandfather taught me how to bike in our street, and I had like this really tiny bike with 2 of the like extra wheels on the back. I don't know how to explain it, but they
Training wheels.
yeah, they
Training
kind of help
wheels.
you in
Yeah.
the beginning phases. So I had that bike, and he was just maybe for a couple of weeks only trying to practice with me in the street, and like my neighbors would cheer on, and then I would like at some point he like stopped holding the bike, and I was just cycling by myself, and then the wheels disappeared, and every time you get a step higher. And this was really like an experience, and I feel like at least in my family, learning how to bike was very like fundamental. And I don't think I know any Dutch person who doesn't know how to bike. Like you don't unlearn it, you just know. And yeah, I really like it. It gives you the freedom to go everywhere, and you go to school. Even people that live like an hour away by bike, they still bike to school, like it's very normal. No distance is too far. If it rains, well, okay, sucks for you, but you gotta go, It's very normalized. I really like it. But I do know that like right now there's more of a discussion going on whether we should wear helmets, especially with the e-bikes. And from Dutch culture, a lot of people are like, no, that's for losers. We don't do that. But yeah, I know that in Denmark, kind of their, marketing for helmets works. And right now, almost everyone is cycling there with a helmet. Yeah.
And they also came from a culture sort of like the Netherlands where like no helmet used to be the thing.
That's what they told me, yeah. I didn't grow up there, but yeah.
Yeah, I really hope that changes soon. I wear a helmet now. I didn't when I first moved here. I didn't because I was trying to blend in. But then I had an accident, and thank God I didn't hit my head at all. But then I was just like, this isn't worth it. Like the moneymaker is this thing up here that I have, and we don't want anything to happen to that.
No.
So that'll be interesting to see. Hopefully I'm still around in this country. I don't know where life's going to take me, but to see how that progresses around, the idea of health and things like that. But I want to be mindful of your time, so we're going to wrap up. But I do have something for you. For taking the time to be on my podcast. I made some muffins. I like to give people muffins that I make when they're on my podcast.
Thank you.
So is there anything else you felt like you want to share but you didn't get to share before we close off?
Not really. Maybe follow Voices for Women. Support us.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much, Lisa.
You're welcome.
And that is that.
You didn't record.
Yeah.